Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Day 3 Quarterfinals with Dignitas and Dark Passage. I'm Paul, and I'm joined by Spuddington for the first game of today, which will be Dignitas and Dark Passage. So these teams have already progressed into the quarterfinals, Spuddington, and looking very strong indeed with Dignitas' roster changes, and Dark Passage are looking as strong as ever.
Yeah, they've always been pretty much the top Turkish team, the one to look out for. But Dignitas UK, what we've seen from them thus far this tournament with the new lineup, looking really strong. They rolled through their opposition originally, and they've always been a very solid team. Have had that one roster change, that mid lane, but doesn't seem to have affected their performance. So, picks and bans coming out: Thresh, Renekton, Zed, Aatrox, and Vayne. And I want to wonder, although they haven't, whether there's going to be a first pick Orianna this game.
It's very possible. In a lot of the games we've seen so far in this tournament, Spuddington, a lot of the bans have actually been mid laners, and we're not seeing too much of that this time around. Maybe because Dark Passage don't fear them as much as many of the European West teams, because of course we are in in I wouldn't say the Turkey meta, but because this is the Turkey International Invitationals, then we will be seeing slightly different playstyles, slightly different metas to what we're used to. But Zed, Aatrox, Shyvana will be banned out. Shyvana is a very interesting ban, not generally considered to be one of the strongest junglers at the moment, but I know Dark Passage do like to run that Shyvana. Meanwhile, Vayne has been banned out, one of the best AD carries, and Thresh as well, again, one of the very solid support.
Yeah, Shyvana puts out just an absolute ton of damage with nothing but levels, can build pure tank and still be a really significant damage threat. But there's a lot of very high priority picks available this game. Elise is open, Ahri is open, Kassadin is open. All of these characters are worthy of first picks, first bans kind of choices. So, any of those are just such priority picks. It's hard to know what to go for because it's like you're in the candy shop. There's so many things you want, but which ones do you prioritize?
It's curious as well, because what they prioritized was Lee Sin, and yes, Lee Sin is a very big playmaking pick, but it's not necessarily something that Dignitas would have banned anyway. I mean, their jungler could be very good with Lee Sin, but considering there's so many good mid laners out at the moment, so mid lane is really what a lot of the games revolve around because of so many picks being incredibly good, such as the Orianna, the Ahri, the Fizz, which is another one that has been left open. Then to go for your jungler first, I mean, it's an interesting thing, and Dignitas are going to follow suit. They're going to go top lane and the AD carry.
Yeah, I feel like this is sort of almost like a game of chicken. I didn't actually notice that Corki was also open. He's also a very high priority pick. But it's kind of always like a game of chicken because Kassadin is in the champion pool. He's available. He's so strong in the right circumstances. And I feel like they are holding off on picking their mid lane champion, Dignitas that is, so as to be able to either counter Dark Passage when they pick Kassadin, or to pick Kassadin with Dark Passage being forced to choose a champion that can at least deal with Kassadin, so they don't even have to go with Kassadin in the end. They can just swap it out for something else that deals with whatever champion they would want to run against Kassadin. So it's one of these kind of mind games thing. Does seem like Dark Passage tend to favor these AoE-centric comps though, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that Sona coming out is a very popular champion and just generally solid, almost no matter what you're running in your lane.
They were swapping up to the Shen and now have swapped up to the Malphite, and that's pretty interesting because they know what the top lane will be. Most likely will be that Jax and Nitrix on Jax. And yesterday we saw this actually working out very well. Jax is one of those champions where not only is he a time bomb champion, we'll get to the point where he's just a complete monster like Nasus and Irelia, which is also being hovered over, but Jax can just split push. He can do that all day. He can do the same thing as like Nasus really and Irelia. They keep themselves in the top lane. They can duel anyone who comes at them, and they almost reach a breaking point. And if Malphite can stay ahead of that, then he'll be in better shape. I would personally say Shen is slightly better at stopping the breaking point from happening until later into the game, but Malphite could still definitely work.
Yeah, Malphite as a matchup against Jax is okay, but I don't actually think he's quite as amazing as people think, because they think, okay, attack speed slow, that really does cripple Jax. But the thing is that Jax post level 6 can get quite a bit of sustain from the attack speed with a Vamp Scepter. So if Malphite's not constantly being aggressive, he's not going to be able to, actually really burn Jax down very much. And the other thing is that Jax can front load a lot of his damage. If he auto attacks twice on minions, then goes for the leap strike, then goes for the empower reset, he gets the third hit, he gets the empower hit, he gets the leap strike, all that damage coming in a big spike, and then the attack speed slow isn't nearly as important because that spike will go through the Malphite shield and will damage him underneath. So Jax can then back away, go back to farming the minions, use that sustain. It's still a matchup that probably favors Malphite early, but it's one which Jax will get to be quite strong a lot earlier than people think.
Yeah, I mean, Malphite can kind of play around the counter-strike of Nitrix's Jax, but at the same time, as you said, the auto-attack resets will come into effect, and that really is a great way of mitigating the attack speed slow, because, well, it doesn't matter, because you're going to attack anyway with the empowered auto-attack or empowered leap or whatever. So, again, there's a lot of counterplay, but I feel... I completely agree with you, Spunnies. In early game, Malphite will have the slight advantage, but Nitrix, I don't think there's really anything to stop him. Another attack speed slow will be Gragas, but also the huge burst damage in the mid lane. Orianna is open. We know that Alchemist is very comfortable in Orianna, but Ahri is also being hovered over. Another 50 seconds to go, so they could indeed swap up to that. I wouldn't mind Orianna against Gragas. I feel that's a matchup that is fairly skill-based, very long range, and something that if they're going to kill each other, then it will come down to skill.
I'm actually feeling it's a little bit surprising that they haven't gone for the Kassadin here. I don't know the matchup brilliantly between Gragas and Kassadin straight up, but Gragas is a melee champion. Yes, he can punish Kassadin for trying to last hit with barrels, but he can't do that constant harass thing that most of the laners against Kassadin will have to deal with. If they were to go with that Kassadin, I think he'd have a pretty decent chance of getting through the lane with a decent bit of farm, and Kassadin works so well with Dignitas UK's playstyle. That mobility, that roaming, that picking style, where they just take someone out, catch them out of position, get their map control from there, and snowball, and there we have it. Kassadin being swapped up to at the last moment. I am feeling good.
Yeah, and honestly, I think one of the reasons they were kind of thinking about it more than anything is there was the threat of swapping up their bot lane to mid lane. You could have Caitlyn and Sona against a Kassadin, and Gragas 1v2s very well. So they had that threat there, but they were like, well, Kassadin's open. I mean, it's a matchup that can work very well. We can get some early vision, we can get some early knowledge, and if they do want to swap up, then we'll swap up. But as it is, I'm not even sure if Dark Passage want to go down that route. But another 30 seconds remaining. Any last thoughts before we jump to a break?
Nothing really, but it's definitely looking like Dark Passage are going to have to make sure they don't get on the back foot. I mean, that's always the way against Dignitas UK. They are such a momentum-based team, you don't want to get behind them, but especially now with this style of composition they're running with that mobility and that split pushing. If they get behind against that with that AoE team fight, they may never find the fight they want again. They may never be able to get back on their feet and get that kind of train running down the mid lane, which is generally what you want to do. Regardless, though, as mentioned, going to be going into a quick break while we do have the delay timer ticking down, ladies and gentlemen, so we will be seeing you in just a second. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We are in game now with Dignitas UK versus Dark Passage. Everyone's just running out into the middle of the map, it looks like. And I am Spuddington, joined once again by Pulse.
Hey, how's it going? So we were talking quite a lot in the break about how Dignitas can do whatever they like at level 1. They have a vastly superior level 1 fight. There's no way that Dark Passage can really damage them. In a 5-on-5 brawl, then Dignitas will win, and they have probably better picking potential as well. So the other thing is they have Kassadin, and that will really help to allow Kassadin to have a good early game, because Dark Passage will have to think about, do they want the lane swap up? And if they do, then Dignitas can react to it way faster as a reactive play. Now Dignitas are looking for this jungle invasion.
Yeah, it's one of these things. I'm not surprised to see Dignitas UK here going for this invade. You can see they've got multiple wards down in the jungle, and that's going to give them the control, the vision control, to see and hence hopefully predict where the lanes are going from Dark Passage, they are going to want to make sure that Kassadin doesn't end up in a 2-on-1 lane. It is a fairly common practice to put your AD and support against Kassadin. That would make life quite difficult for him to get his farm early on. He's probably quite happy to run against Gragas straight up 1-on-1 though, and that looks like what everyone is going to be going for here. Jax moving down towards the bottom lane, so we may see a 2v1 swap up going for the top lane. Seems a little bit odd to me, but it will give Caitlyn and Sona a little bit of an edge in terms of pushing.
Personally, I feel that had Dignitas left everything as it was, their matchups are better in every lane, because Jackson will eventually win out against Malphite. Their bot lane of Samwise and of Zyra, they will do a lot better against Caitlyn and Sona, because Sona can't harass without being rooted by Zyra, and Corki just has more burst. In fact, they're swapping their bot lane into their mid lane. This is interesting, Spuddington.
I like Kassadin versus Malphite. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think Malphite is really going to be able to scratch Alchemist in that top lane in any reasonable amount of time. Continuing on with that, Jax in the bottom lane will actually do fairly well, at least at keeping himself in XP range in that bottom lane. And having the mid lane duo lane is going to give them a lot of control over jungle camps.
Yeah, Impaler jumps over the wall. Riosta, though, will not quite be able to respond in kind, and has stolen away the... In fact, didn't steal away the blue buff, and Riosta has picked that one up, but has knocked him out of his jungle, giving Impaler a little bit of time to kind of just take away some of his smaller camps. Yeah,
Riosta, it kind of dodged a bullet there, though. It was very, very close on that smite. Did get the blue buff. He will be able to walk on out and walk back in. Not too far behind on XP. I believe Elise is, in fact, pretty much exactly the same. Doran's Blade start on Elise, by the way. I feel, though, that having failed that play to shut down Riosta, Dignitas UK putting their duo lane in mid may now actually cost them a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons you put your duo lane in mid is because you will have much better ability to invade early buffs, and that's what they tried to do there, because there was no way Gragas could react, because it would still be a 3 versus 2. However, it didn't pay off, means that they will have a slight disadvantage, and now Lee Sin's come back in, and has come back in on full HP, and I was going to say mana, but he's an energy-based champion. Impaler will be moving towards his blue buff. He was thinking about maybe trying to disrupt that, but again, the duo mid lane will kind of mitigate the ability for Lee Sin to make any aggressive plays in the jungle.
Yeah, now though we have to consider how are these matchups going to progress. Naru at the moment is actually suffering in this mid lane. 2 versus 1 is never fun, and Gragas won't be able to clear the waves easily till he gets a couple of levels on the barrel. However, if this lane continues like this for a long time, it will become dangerous. He will actually have that capacity to set up ganks very effectively with level 6. Impaler, by the way, is hanging around, and Nitrix on Jax. One of the things about Nitrix one of the things about Jax in that 2-on-1 situation is he is good at setting up ganks with a counter strike, leap strike.
And doing that right now, jumps onto Holy Froth, along with some damage from Impaler. Flash comes out, looking for the Volatile Spiderling. Zutz comes down as well, looking for more auto attacks. Can he get the execute? And he does indeed. First blood picked up by Impaler. Peltover comes across, not going to be enough to pick up the kills, but Holy Phoenix looking in good shape, but they don't choose to go any further.
Yeah. So, definitely working out now. Can kind of see the logic behind the 2v1 in the mid lane. Is that they've got that jungle control, which would be really, really good for them if they'd gotten that blue buff. As it happens, though, it's still working out for them. The bottom lane Jax isn't being shut down because he's picking up kills instead of, farm peeps, not creeps, basically, is the principle at work here. Naru there, going to be taking a bit of harass, but nothing too serious.
Yeah, in fact, that plan as harassment towards Nara, I think just revealed Riosta. I'm not sure, but I think it might have. So if Dignitas know that, then they're going to try and waste as much time as they can of Riosta's time, but he's still sticking around. Interesting, and I'm just going to back on off, knowing not quite going to happen. Not really sure what he was hoping for a lane gank this early in a Gragas lane, because he doesn't have any CC to offer. Well, I guess he can body flop on them, but that's, it's not hard CC.
Yeah, you're not going to lock down full mana, full health Corki in this current situation. It is something to consider as time goes on, though. When he's got that explosive cask, Zyra is going to be a sitting duck in that mid lane. She is slow for movement speed and doesn't have many options. Impaler hanging around mid. Bot lane.
Yeah, Nitrix looking for another gank onto the bot lane. Impaler doesn't quite land the stun, whiffs it, doesn't hit either of the players, and now will be forced to back off. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Riosta will be heading around the side. Has been revealed by a ward, but well, no jungler means they can't really react to it.
Yeah, and at the moment, actually, in fairness to Dark Passage, Jax's farm is very, very low. So unless Impaler gets another kill here, it's not really actually going to work out after all.
Yeah, gank after gank, but Nitrix had been hit by the net, so not quite able to connect the leap strike into the classic counter-strike combination. So we'll be forced to back off. Impaler still sticking around, lands the Neurotoxin, goes straight into the Spider Form for the Venomous Bite, drops very low, Phoenix forced to flash out. But, I mean, there's nowhere else really for him to go, so he might as well just stick around bot lane.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's one of those strange... Yeah. I had a strange issue there. You wouldn't want to know, and I'm not going to tell you because it would be embarrassing. So Samwise could be in danger in this mid lane. Naru is very close to level 6, and that makes it a perilous thing to have going on. Does look like they're going to back out though.
And the 6 has been hit, and he just has enough mana for the explosive cast, but not much else. Does again have the ignite, so I'm a little surprised he didn't go for that, but not knowing where Elise is was a very dangerous thing. So he chose not to go for it, and Impaler, in fact, looking for this jungle invade. Riosta is the only one able to react to this. He's a level below, so he won't be able to outsmite him in theory. We'll find them at his red buff. Yarrow pins him down with the grasping roots, auto attacks come out, war jump comes down, and the Valkyrie auto attacking. Yarrow somehow manages to pick it up.
Power of Ignite there. So the next kind of phase of this game, though, is going to start getting quite interesting. Dignitas UK have a lot of people right now that quite like to recall. Alchemist wants to recall in that top lane. Jax probably want to recall in that bottom lane, although it looks like he's going to catch this next wave. Corki has also recalled. Where they rotate their lanes now is a very interesting question, because yes, they can return Corki to that mid lane, but they could also go and put that duo lane in the top lane now. Look to push back Fabulous, look to get some damage on that tower, and then have Caston start playing the mid lane and roaming, but Alchemist is in trouble. Yeah,
Auto has come out and the Ignite, but I don't think he's going to quite drop from this, just be at least forced out of the lane, and honestly, Fabulous is low enough. Well, he has to be very careful if Elise was off the board, but she has been seen down at the bot lane. I'm sure if he had gotten that kill, the Fab chance would have started in chat.
Indeed, always Fabulous. It's just a kind of a name that tickles your tongue, as it were.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Very chantable as well.
Fabulous. Yeah, TSM. So anyway, Jax actually just going to be returning back to that bot lane, and it looks like Dignitas intends to continue this laning phase as it stands for now. I do actually have to query that decision. They have lost that bottom tower now, and will, in fact, just let Jax kind of get that farm. Gonna have difficulties controlling the next dragon though. Alchemist is not going to be as free to roam if he continues to get pushed up against his tower by Malphite, and that is going to cause them a lot of problems, especially when they're up against, you know, Crescendo and Explosive Cast, big mid-game dragon fight controlling abilities.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised considering they recalled many of their players. They didn't go for a swap up, put the Jax in the top lane against Malphite, who probably wouldn't be able to deal with him at this stage. And in fact, he's got way more farm, so he might have been able to do so. But having Caston at the bot lane would give them way more potential. In a straight up brawl, Nitrix will be stronger because Jax's team fighting at this stage will be a little bit better than Caston, but the picking potential will be better had they swapped it up. So I can understand why they did it. Plus, Corki's still got the red buff, so if they do choose to go for a fight, he'll be outputting even more damage. And they are moving around and converging on the dragon area, so we could see a potential attempt here from Dignitas.
Yeah, they have shopped more recently, Dignitas, at the moment. Corki, for instance, is sitting on, what, 500 gold. Compare that to his counterpart, Kaelin, about 1,000, but Holy Thoth has been caught.
Meanwhile, Impaler lands the Cocoon, jumps over the wall, lands the Repel, auto-attack, and the Venomous Bite will finish that one off. And picks up another kill, so that one pick will probably translate into this dragon. Lee Sin in the top jungle, very little they can do.
Partly the influence of the incessant Impaler ganking in that bottom lane, actually, there. Crescendo still not available for Holy Thoth. For that reason, they then didn't really want to force the next dragon fight. Dragon just became invisible for me, which was, you know, that old bug, except it appeared like halfway through, which is unusual. But because Crescendo was not available, it was much less favorable for Dark Passage to force that, so they ended up kind of getting it forced upon them instead, and Impaler was able to get that extra kill that Riosta is just kind of watching at the moment.
Rios are not having such a fun time, find themselves in Impaler, auto attacks will be coming down, Neurotoxin comes out into the cocoon, and meanwhile Grasping Roots lands into the Strangleforms, Holy Froth on the backside, knocks him back with Dragon's Rage, comes in Repel, and doesn't quite land the auto attack, but Venomous Bite will take the kill. Meanwhile, we have chase onto Naru as Samwise looks to pick up another kill as Impaler is still trapped in no man's land but should be able to get out on 8 legs. Naru is still looking to escape, auto attack should be enough, and body slam straight into the wolves.
Very convenient that he started farming his wolves at the same time, but Impaler is running here.
Yeah, Yarrow actually missed the Grasping Roots. Meanwhile, Repel comes up, doesn't quite connect with the with the Wraiths, and Shutdown comes in for Sona. It was so unfortunate. You could see he was like a Teemo away from that Wraith to jump to.
I will say, though, about this kind of lane rotation situation we find ourselves in now, the fact that Nitrix has been denied quite a lot of farm, whereas Fabulous has been picking up pretty much as he wants. 101 CS in this top lane, highest in the game, I believe. That is actually going to mean that Jack's split pushing potential is much more limited.
Fabulous looking for the kill. Unstoppable Force came in, combo, and the Ignite will pick up the kill. I kind of expected that to happen, Spuddington, so I didn't want to interrupt you too shortly, but I hoped you were going to see it as well. It's like, he's going to die soon.
I'm sorry, I was too busy thinking about Fabulous to look at the Fabulous. Too fabulous, but Nitrix has been caught in bot.
Yeah, auto attack come out, change the auto attacks and the Sonic Wave into Resonating Strike. Wood Jump comes in, this time from Jax, and should be good to go once they back on off, but Wood has been expended.
Yeah, so point I was making, because Fabulous is getting free farm, Jax himself was denied quite a bit, and they only managed to get him 1 assist during that laning phase. Even though Caitlyn got a little bit less farm than their AD carry, they're going to have a lot less split pushing potential from Dignitas. He's not going to be able to 1v1 Malphite in this situation. Chalice and nearly a Sunfire Cape, not something you can fight. Impaler looking for Riosta again in his jungle, but wasn't able to find him.
Unfortunately for Riosta, he's not really had that many ganking opportunities this game because Elise was able to basically stay in the bot lane because there was nowhere else to go. Malphite is a horrible gank lane until 6 and he just killed him anyway. And then in the mid lane it was Gragas, and that one time we saw him potentially ganking, he couldn't make it happen. So Riosta up until 6 really didn't have anything to do, and Elise has just been free to completely counter jungle him because in the one-on-one trade Elise will win, and because all the buffs have been taken away from Lee, he's just not had a good time. That has resulted in him not being too well in items because he's only got the Doran's Blade, the Ruby Crystal, and then a machete and then boots. That's it. He's not in good shape. Level 6 to level 8 on Elise.
Yeah, in fairness to him though, Lee Sin is not a character that really needs a ton of items to still be effective. However, now is the time for Dignitas UK to start trying to take advantage of their mobility. You can see DX Alchemist went down to that mid lane, looked to try and kind of make something happen there, and simultaneously Nitrix was pushing. They're taking advantage of the fact that Dark Passage does not have great wave clear, excepting when they have Gragas in the area. Malphite, not a very fast wave clearer. Caitlyn does have some decent AoE, but she's not going to just give waves, and Kassadin can do that, and then he can also be much faster at getting across the map, so he can go down to mid lane, then go back up to top.
Interesting, because I would compare both of these teams' playstyles to be very similar to each other. They're both very dynamic, they really play off mistakes, and they end games very quickly. I mean, Dignitas are one of the teams who end games very quickly indeed. Like, they generally don't go to late game, and Impaler finds himself fabulous, but he's very tanky with 119 armor. Will be moving up with brutal strikes. Ace in the Hole comes across and chains it with the ultimate. The auto attacks come in. Fabulous picks up 1 kill. He'll be acting as a lightning rod as he draws a couple players away from him. If Holy Froth takes some hit from Impaler, who jumps over the wall onto red buff. Samwise picks up the kill finally onto Malphite. And in the mid lane, Naru is looking to clear out the waves. They might be able to convert this into a tower, but Nitrix at the bot lane is drawing at least some players towards him.
Very reminiscent of the last time I saw Nitrix playing Jax, which was the last time I saw Team Dignitas UK, coincidentally, where he was 0-0-0, and yet an extreme presence on the map, just constantly pushing and getting pushed under the tower now.
Yep, Ward jumps away. Naru quite happy to just take a drink and keep up the chase. Nitrix fairly tanky though, he's got the magic resist, and of course with Grandmaster's Might will be increasing that even further, so not a kill that Naru could really get.
And obviously doesn't really care about throwing around his ultimate, only about an 87-second cooldown, he says. It's only about 87 exactly.
Yeah, only about that. So, in the mid lane, Samwise in pretty good shape. 143 farms, 139 on Caitlyn. Of course, they were both in 1 versus 2 lanes, so kind of to be expected at this stage in the game. Samwise has been given the blue buff as Cassidy is still on the top lane and clearly doesn't want it just yet. I'm a little curious as to why they haven't moved Cassidy away from the top lane yet. He's not having a fun time against Malphite, and probably his utility could be well used elsewhere.
It is definitely true, but it's getting him a lot of farm and quite a bit of experience on top of that. Malphite is feeling the pinch. He feels like he needs to be roaming a lot. He needs to be making plays happen, and he is doing that, but it's meaning that Cassidy is getting as much gold as he wants and as much XP as he wants, and that means that Dignitas UK are already ahead. They have the freedom to force stuff wherever they want, as long as Cassidy is fast enough.
Yeah, and they're collapsing now onto Holy Froth and Holy Phoenix, the Holy Bros, but unable to really get anything done, and now Dragon has spawned, so could see something happening around there. Meanwhile, Nitrix has dropped low, but has to stick around for this next fight. Fabulous does not have his ultimate, has already used that to try and kill Jax, so we'll see what both these teams bring out for the next fight, even if they do go for a fight.
Actually, looks like there's going to be some damage trading going on ahead of time, just a little bit of poke, but Dark Passage not in position to contest that. Again, Kassadin's ability to roam faster than his counterparts is just coming into its own over and over again. You can see him going back up to that top lane now. He will clear that away. Whereas Nitrix doesn't have the... his saving grace here, Nitrix, is that he's getting pushed back by Malphite, but Malphite doesn't have the vision control to safely keep going.
Yeah, Nitrix, when he recalls, I'm sure he'll be able to get to a stage where he can out-trade Malphite, but it's not going to reach that stage anytime soon. 50 farm ahead in the mid lane, sorry. I'm also keeping an eye out just in case action does erupt, but Fabulous has just pushed Nitrix out of lane. There's nothing he can do about it. Naru is still trading off Wellgate Alchemist, so he has gone for the tower dive. Nitrix stuns him away, and he's just going to casually farm behind his turret.
And why not if you are such a big man, a big rock? He is potentially going to get pinned down here, but this is a big play for Dark Passage in general. They are taking advantages across the map. They had an advantage in mid, they've recalled for free. Now they're going to back away and draw a lot of attention from Dig UK. They need to capitalize on that by then moving other guys towards that mid lane, or possibly getting some free recalls, getting some guys to buy their items. They've essentially bought themselves quite a bit of free time there with them pushing Nitrix back like that.
Yeah, Riosta finds himself caught though. Stranglefarms comes up. Does he have the ward jump? It does not come up in time. Impaler finds himself in the trap. Flash over the wall. And Samwise can't quite connect the dots and pick up the kill onto Lee Sin. However, the Dark Passage have swapped up very well. They've put the players who can 1 versus 1 everyone on Dignitas in the right places, so that Dignitas are in a pretty bad position. They have 3 people in the mid lane. If they get themselves a pick onto Holy Phoenix, that would be perfect. But their lanes are naturally losing.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem with swapping up your 2v1s in the manner that Dignitas did. I think they were banking quite a bit more on the camp from Impaler, although yes, Nitrix now starting to outtrade Fabulous.
Yeah, he's forced to back off, but Seismic Shot will prevent him from going any further with the extra movement speed and decrease onto Nitrix. But that's one of the major turning points. If he can consistently outtrade Malphite, that's a big issue for Dark Passage, because they can't have someone stopping him from constantly split pushing by themselves. On the top lane, Naru and Alchemist trading blows, but nothing really to write home about.
Yeah, I think Naru will not want to stick around there, though. Impaler is likely to check that brush. Body Slam will get him out fairly quickly. But you've always got to be very alert when you're dealing with a Kassadin, and especially when you're dealing with a Kassadin who has an Elise jungle, because they can chase fast over long distances. Body Slam, very useful tool for getting out of dodge, but you've just got to make sure you don't stay in range for the first jump from Kassadin to silence you. So both teams still kind of just squaring off pretty much 1-on-1 in the bottom and 1-on-1 on the top, 2-on-2 with the top lanes, and trying to catch people out with their junglers.
Yep, and Riosta doesn't quite manage it onto Yero, and meanwhile, Impaler didn't manage to do it on top lane. They finally pick up a tower in the mid lane, swapping and rotating very well as they find themselves. Yero flashes out to the side, auto attacks, and the barrel roll, and ace in the hole. Not quite enough to take down Yero, but will force him to recall. Meanwhile, Nitrix waiting in the wings if they want to go for this team fight, but doesn't look like they want to do so just yet. Fabulous still grinding away the bot lane.
Indeed. Feels like Jax is still not confident in his ability to 1v1 here, but he could get caught.
Yep, ward jumps, or rather jumps to Elise, who is definitely not a ward. And in the bot lane, they are starting to siege us away. They should be able to mobilize much faster than Dignitas can. Can they clear the wave? The answer is a resounding no. They should be able to pick this up in time before they go for a fight. Alchemist trying his best, and in fact, they have repelled them.
Yeah, at the moment, Dignitas are very much on the back foot. We've mentioned they're a very momentum-based team in the past. That means that if they get caught in this situation where they already have a somewhat inferior team fighting composition, they get caught in this situation for too long, it's not going to suit them very much at all. And at the moment, both of the waves in mid and top are pushing in the favor of Dark Passage. That will put the pressure on Dignitas, plus they have probably slightly worse poke unless they can catch someone out.
Yeah, but Dignitas, what they have going for them is pretty good at catching potential. Elise comes up, drops onto Fabulous, Strangleforms comes in, knocks up 2. Should be enough to keep him alive. Nitrix also chiming in to see if we can get anything done. But I do agree, Dark Passage probably has a slightly better team fight at the moment as Naru body flops over the wall and Fabulous off to the side. Got to be very careful he doesn't land his ultimate onto the right people. It looks like a team fight is erupting. Riosta hits the Dragon's Rage onto Jax, knocks him out of the fight. Alchemist comes in with the Force Pulse, doesn't pick up a kill, but Naru has dropped low, looking for the happy hour passive. Nitrix in no man's land, forced to flash backwards, looking for the kill onto Holy Phoenix. He gets it with Alchemist, but he has been split up from the rest of the team. Can he pick up the kill in time? Fabulous dropping low. Nitrix finally drops, and Alchemist is still behind them to deal some damage. Holy Prof, does he have enough? In fact, he's completely out of mana, and Dignitas have played this team fight so well, 3-1, as they run away from the rest of this fight, but 3-1 advantage to Dignitas.
3-1 advantage. They know Dragon's going to pop up in 40 seconds, but that's not quite soon enough for them to force it. They'll be able to get that mid tower, and they'll want to clear out that top wave. So this has relieved a lot of the pressure that Dignitas was feeling. This will enable them to get a little bit of extra vision control, and that type of fight is not the type Dark Passage wants. They do not want these super long fights, long drawn out fights that cover a lot of ground, because that's where Jax gets really strong, that's where Elise gets really strong, that's where Kassadin gets really, really strong. They want big bursts, they want big, targets getting destroyed instantly, and that would suit Dark Passage down to the ground. As it happened though, Dignitas got the game they wanted, and that will give them a chance now to try and avoid future team fights.
Yes, indeed, and they kind of want to go for these wombo combo team fights where they land the Malphite ultimate, then into the Gragas, or even catch someone with the Gragas as an initiation, split them up, pick a kill, and then go for a fight. That's also perfect. But as you said, they kind of split them up, and because they were a couple people off to one side of the wall and a couple people to the other, that they were never really able to chain their ultimate, get the people in the right places, and because they were kind of caught off guard by the engagement by Dignitas, worked out very well for them. I would say the Dignitas still are slightly on the back foot, but they're gaining ground and they're gaining momentum.
It's an odd thing to say where you think they are on the back foot, and I agree with you, but they are actually still ahead on gold, and they've been ahead on gold for quite a while. It just feels like the momentum is not going in their favor, whereas now, maybe a little bit more so. Alchemist nearly took out the entirety of that top tower then, abusing the mobility of Kassadin. I'll say it over and over again, but that ability to just cross the entire map much, much quicker than anyone else is utterly invaluable.
Yeah, so now we have to start thinking about what our Dark Passages play, because if we take this 5 minutes down the line and they don't do anything, Dignitas will surely pick up momentum. So what do? Do they start dueling people 1 versus 1 again? Do they have that available to them? Probably not. I would say that Nitrix probably can do something now to Fabulous, though he has just picked up his Spirit Visage will help a lot against the hybrid damage from Jax. I mean, what the top lane, Gragas is still doing pretty well against Kassadin, but if they get the catch onto him, then he won't do well at all. Meanwhile, well, I thought Sailor's going to come up. That's not the place he wants to be going. But what do you think is going to be the next sort of environment for the next fight?
Well, I'm going to place a guess it's not going to be where there are 1,001 different wards, which is the river. If you look right now, it's peppered. It's like a birthday cake. There are wards absolutely everywhere on both sides. So neither side is going to find it easy to catch the other one out there. And it's going to be the first team that kind of push the other back, start to get some vision control in their jungle, or catch an arrow, actually.
Yeah, Cocoon over the wall, hits him at max range, picks up the kill right onto Alchemist, one of the best players to have it on, and Dark Passage on the back foot, now sitting under this turret. Do they have the wave clear? They've got Caitlyn, not renowned for being the best at wave clear, got the pilt over of course, but not that much. So over the course of at least a minute or so, they might be able to grind this down, but they have enough to kind of keep them back.
Yeah, and anyone puts a foot wrong against Dark Passage's comp, they can punish that really quite hard. You know, you get the wombo combo, you get knocked back under the tower even by Lee Sin. There's just a lot of potential things to be careful of. Dignitas going to wisely choose to back away from that. They did have a couple of guys a little bit low. Start getting more map pressure going. And I keep saying it over and over again, but that is what they are playing here. That is the game they are playing. They map pressure and map pressure and map pressure some more. Bottom lane, not something they can actually safely push out though at the moment. Caitlyn will get that snowballing in their favor. Top lane going to snowball in the favor of Dig, but that's a little bit easier for Dark Passage to deal with because of the positioning of Baron.
Yeah, and it's funny because the wards actually show the state of the game. Because none of the wards are that aggressive, some are, but they are from both teams, and it's mostly in the river. And because most of the fights are happening, they're all in the same place. However, this could be a catch onto the blue buff, as Naru finds himself taking a lot of damage. Fabulous lands a perfect ultimate onto two. Alchemist and Samwise. Yaru from the backside doesn't quite get the CC out. He's unable to get into the fight. Meanwhile, Holy Phoenix onto the back lines. Fabulous has rejoined the rest of his team. Yaru's still there. Stranglethorns comes up, knocks up another two, hits Holy Froth. Can he pick up the second kill to Fabulous? Holy Phoenix cannot deal the damage he wants to. He cannot get into the right position. That's a 1-for-2 advantage to Dignitas. Impaler takes a barrel to the face. Or should we want to carry on chasing though?
Ooh, Nitrix just walked right past Holy Phoenix, recalling in that little tuft of brush that nobody ever checks. They are actually continuing this chase though.
Wow, and Samwise comes in with the flash into Phosphorus Bomb, and the auto attack picks up another kill. And knowing that Naru's ultimate was down after the perfect repel from Impaler meant that he had nothing to fear.
Yeah, it's the holy lane, right? Yep. They're against Corki, who has a Gatling gun. They're going to be much holier when he's done with them. Yeah. Yeah.
That was a pretty divine joke there.
You're terrible.
Thank you.
Anyway, Dark Passage at the moment starting to lose control of this game. They've lost another tower there. They have a little bit less vision control than they did before. Those wards in the river starting to time out. And Dignitas themselves are getting a few more aggressive wards down. They've also got the lanes pushing, a little bit of harass down on the towers. And crucially, they have the Baron vision control at the moment. That means that Dark Passage's next move is very much obvious.
Or just kill Yarrow. That also works. Ace in the Hole comes through, picks up the kill, and will probably, give them a lot more vision control, because that was kind of one of the turning points in terms of momentum for Dignitas, where they had the support going through the jungle, putting down the aggressive wards, and allowing them to slowly push back Dark Passage. They couldn't quite go for the down-the-hill momentum that we see so often from Dignitas UK and their play, but Dark Passage were able to pick up the support, so they can regain some vision control. And in turn, Dignitas are going to slightly push, but they can't really get into a position where they could go for a fight.
Well, what I was going to say immediately before Yarrow walked right into his own death was that the next move from Dark Passage was pretty much forced upon them. They had to go where Yarrow was. They had to go and try and make sure they got some vision control over the Baron. Because if they didn't get that vision control, there was always that potential for Dig to rush it. They have a very good Baron clearing team. But if they did that, it would be easy for Dignitas to then punish them by, pushing in their bot lane or getting, a pick off with Kassadin. They had a lot of options available to them, but Yarrow suiciding in there kind of threw away all of those options for them, which was a little bit unfortunate for him there.
Both of these teams have to play it very cautiously, Swinnington, because if they put a foot wrong, then we can see the game shift through the gears very, very quickly. Like Dignitas, if they pick up the advantage, we saw right there, they almost took absolute control of Dark Passage's jungle. It was only because they got the pick onto Yarrow, which kind of stymied that. But if Dark Passage do the same, then they can do that into Dignitas's jungle. So they have to play it very carefully, because if it's a 5-for-0 ace, so much happens, so many advantages get taken, and momentum builds up, and it's almost impossible for the other momentum team to catch up to the team who's gotten ahead. I would say that Dark Passage, again, still have a slightly better team fight, but the split pushing will kind of aid them, especially in Nitrix's cause, as he is pushing down the top lane, and they didn't really have anyone to deal with him.
Yeah, I think one of the other things we have to consider right now is Corki is 5-0 right now. Elise is 4-1. That means the split pushers, if they are Kassadin... Oh wow, Impaler catches Fabulous.
Yeah, Fabulous taking a lot of hits, but he's so incredibly tanky. So much armor, so much magic resist, and now Impaler's on the back foot. Yarrow finds himself in a trap. And Repel comes up. They're still chasing after this one. Does he have the flash? The answer is yes. Friendship tester. Jump over the wall from Fabulous. Fantastic Dragonfall splits up the fight. Impaler drops regardless from Naru. Crescendo comes across, hits Samwise in the face, so he doesn't quite have the damage. This is a 5 versus 4 though, Splittington. And meanwhile, Nitrix is still pushing away.
I was just about to say, right before Impaler got caught there, the thing that we have to consider is that Corki is 5-on-5. If he is in a team fight, that essentially means that they have got so much of their gold committed in that fight. Dignitas UK have almost, not equal fight potential to if it was a 5-on-5, but if they get a good engage, they can win those 4-on-5s. Jax continuing to split push all the time is just putting a lot of pressure upon Dark Passage, and they are going to have to deal with that somehow, but he's getting to a point where I don't think anyone can deal with him.
The pressure is definitely pushing down onto Dark Passage, and as you said, they have no one to deal with him. Generally, it would be Fabulous as Malphite. Maybe he could do it. But I feel after a couple or a minute or two, in fact, jump over the wall with the ward jump now, following onto Naru. Can he get out of here? Unable to body block the body slam. Now jumps in once again with Counter-Strike. Fabulous has come into the fray. And Barrel comes out, flashes the barrel, another body slam. Should keep him safe. Jumps to the same ward. Counter-Strike will get the stun down, but another body slam keeps him safe. No one really to secure the kill, but those mechanics from Nitrix.
Yeah, very, very solid play out of him, but does mean he has used his flash and his ignite. It's going to make his split pushing a little bit less safe now. That's something that does actually mean a lot more for him than for pretty much any character on Dark Passage. He needs his flash to be available wherever possible. In this case, though, Dignitas UK during that whole rigmarole, circus, whatever you want to call it, in that whole fight, have got complete vision control over Baron, and they can very safely do this because Impaler is not going to take any damage from it, essentially. And, well, they're going to see anyone coming.
Yeah, Dark Passage have realised, but they can disengage whenever they want, and potentially the team fight could go badly. Fabulous is the one who's going to get there first, doesn't quite get the steal, and it will be going to Dignitas. Meanwhile, do they want to go for the fight? That's the question. Alchemist is split up from his team. Stranglethorns comes out, doesn't quite hit anyone, and Nitrix jumps onto the back line. Flash comes in for Phoenix, and the attack speed slow comes in for Fabulous. Alchemist looking for the kill onto Riasta, who drops low. Meanwhile, Dignitas have kind of regrouped, and Holy Froth is on the receiving end of a lot of damage coming in from Samwise. Another kill has been picked up. 2 for 0, and Riasta's trying his best to get out of here as Force Pulse comes out. Battle Roll comes in, doesn't pick up the kill onto Alchemist, who has to be very careful indeed, but Riasta heads up and jukes upwards so that he can save the life of the rest of his team. But 3-0 puts Dignitas in a very commanding position.
Yeah, another long fight there. Now actually trading off against Nitrix. He failed to jump over the wall and Nitrix succeeded. So, yeah, another really long disengage, re-engage battle there. And like we saw before in that bottom lane fight, that definitely favors Dignitas. Dark Passage was so keen to engage there, though. They just didn't want to overcommit like they did in the bottom jungle fight that we saw earlier where they got 4v5. Kind of caught between a rock and a hard place here at the moment, just because they don't seem to be able to win any fights at the moment.
Man, that jump over the wall was so mind games. It was unbelievable. But indeed, like, Dark Passage's state in this game is not awful. They can still team fight, but as soon as they get to the point where Dignitas can win on any field, then the game is basically over. Because when you do run a team fight composition and you can't win a team fight, then you might as well surrender and look towards the next couple of games. But Dark Passage, they definitely do have the potential to come back into this. Baron is down, and for the next couple of minutes, Dignitas will still be in the driver's seat. I would expect the next objective really is the bot lane. Caston is recalling, so that's a very real possibility, and Dark Passage could punish them underneath that tower.
The fact that Dignitas are now significantly far ahead, the fact that they've got such good late game scaling as well, it's going to mean Dark Passage have quite the hill to climb. If they can start catching out Jax, that's probably the easiest path to their success at this point. But they have no vision control right now. They're getting what little they have taken away by Yarrow at the moment, and they can't safely punish him because they know he's roaming with the rest of his team, and you never know where Kassadin is. If he comes in, well, too bad. You've just gotten silenced, you've just gotten slowed, you've just gotten killed. It's very, very hard right now for Dark Passage. And they can't even really 5-on-5 teamfight, even though they sort of have a fairly good teamfight comp for it. they just don't seem to be able to win with it. And, you know, you've got to play with what you've got. If you can't win the team fights, don't try and seek them out.
Yeah, they're going to try and defend this turret, but I'm not even sure if the best players to try and concede it at this stage. All waves will be pushing anyway, so Dignitas are in a very commanding position, as we've said before, and Dignitas, what they really need to do is just wait around and wait until the rest of the minions push, because it is inevitable. If they can get themselves a pick, if they can poke them down, that would be even better. But the team fight is just incredibly good. As we have some poke coming from the top side, Alchemist waiting in the wings, and this is just Dignitas in their prime. This is the type of composition they always run, and now they've started to build up their momentum. It's a question of whether Dark Passage can really stop them in their tracks.
Yeah, it's hard. They're gonna have to sacrifice this tower. Baron buff will drop off fairly shortly, and they should be able to hold this inhibitor tower while that happens, but it actually looks like Dignitas are going to take that advantage while they can. Going to go for that little bit of poke, get that little bit of damage down. I'm curious though as to how Dark Passage can try and deal with this. They just need, I guess, Caitlyn to get to that super late game fight, and they need Dignitas to overcommit to a fight. But Dignitas have no need to do so. They have no reason to try and commit really, really hard to a fight.
Yeah, right now they could just send Jax up to top lane and then have a two-pronged pressure assault, and still Dark Passage would not be able to do anything about it. Maybe Fab Founders could stall him at the tower, but that's all they could really do at this stage. They can't go for a team fight, or they can't rather engage on them, because they'll lose, so they have to wait until either Dignitas put a foot wrong, they can Naru ultimate them into the tower, or they can potentially insect one as well. But their options are very limited.
Looks like Dignitas are going to opt not to keep pressuring where they are, though. Sitting on not actually that much gold for this stage of the game. You know, 1,000 here, you know, 700 there. Fairly decent amounts, but not so much they need to go back right now. As you can see, in fact, Caston going to be going to pick up that blue buff. Jax farming out those wolves will probably look to snowball that top wave pretty hard, although it actually looks like he's just going to go back out. Fair enough, the wave is already snowballing, but this is an opportunity for Dark Passage, from our perspective, to regain vision control. But the problem is they've got no vision control, so they don't know what Dignitas are doing. They haven't seen Jax in a long time. He didn't show himself at top. They can't therefore go out, put loads of defensive wards down. It's too scary.
Yeah, they need vision control to put down vision control, which is kind of an issue when you want vision control, and Holyfroth is trying his best, but he really needs someone to bodyguard him, because we saw before, even Dignitas, when they were in such a good position, had their support taken down, and if someone dies at this stage of the game, Dignitas will have no qualms with just taking another inhibitor, so we'll see what they can do. Baron will be up in 1 minute 19, and that was one of the reasons why Holyfroth had to take that risk regardless, because if they let another Baron slip, it will surely be the GG, and they will be clearing this ward out as well. You know, honestly, Spuddington, one of the things that a lot of players do neglect is putting a ward right in the nook of Baron Pit, because it's one of those places where you can hide from vision, and because a lot of supports will ward slightly past that, it won't reveal it if it's a pink ward.
It's true. You can. I mean, it can win games, especially if you're playing Teemo. By the way, pro strats, you put a shroom like in that kind of nook and cranny where it can see the Baron, but isn't necessarily visible by some of the more obvious ward spots. So, it's you can get stuff like that to work, but I think these players are all at a caliber where they're gonna be thorough about it unless they're under real time pressure. And it looks like Dignitas are gonna seek a fight here, but they've actually cut them off. Dark Passage now aren't going to be able to just rush unless they want to commit really, really hard straight for that inhib to defend it. And it's going to be gone before they can recall.
That was a really good call by Dignitas. They knew if they put themselves between them and the team and the inhibitor, then what can Dark Passage do? They can't teamfight because they'll lose, and they can't get past them to defend their inhibitor because they'll lose. So that was a really nice play from Dignitas. Now they move themselves up to Baron, and they could do anything. They could trap it, they could go for Baron, or they could just go for Baron, turn around and go for a fight. They can do anything they want. They're going to trap it. Alchemist jumps over the wall. Naru gets completely decimated and blown up. Now it's a one person down, 60 second death timer. Almost said 60 minute, which would be a little out there, Spuddington, but we do have Dignitas moving themselves onto the Baron. There's no reason not to. They'll take this probably with 2 players. Jackson at least can easily do it, and then probably that will be the last nail in this coffin.
I find it very hard to believe the Dark Passage could do anything now. They can look for picks on Samwise and Yarrow, but Yeah, even if they got those kills, still not really going to change the flow of this game. Kassadin going to bot lane, he will push that out. But now we have to start thinking about what the plan is for the next game, because Dark Passage, they had them on the ropes for a while. They were pushing forward, they were winning some of the fights early on, but they just didn't seem to be able to quite capitalize on it hard enough. And then we got to that point where Jax beat Malphite, and I think Malphite pick in this case was not a brilliant one. It opened them up to the Kassadin swap up where he got a decent amount of farm, even if he was killed in lane. He just ulted a super creep.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Pro strats.
Got him.
Guys, if you want to play Malphite, smart cast your R, right? And then be farming, right, yes. And then you type to your team, ready. It's amazing. It's amazing. But, okay, so we may take that as a sign that Dark Passage are at this point perhaps in a little bit of despair for this particular game. But thinking about the next game, I feel like if they had gone for a stronger duelist, like Renekton, for instance, instead of Malphite, that might have served them a lot better.
Yeah, in the next game, I would honestly like to see Fabulous take a more play-making champion. He's one of those players who can make incredible plays. We've seen this all the way through the Bulgarian tournament. We've seen this many times that would cast a Dark Passage, so they could definitely make it happen. Nara uses his ultimate. Fabulous doesn't have it because he whiffed it on the minions before, and Impaler will be backing on off. They haven't picked up kill just yet, but they do have Dignitas forced to back off. Alchemist dropped very low, and Impaler drops low as well. Can they pick up the kill before he repelled? The answer is no. They have to drop down at some point. Who are they going to give this kill to? Now into Guardian Angel. They actually backed off. It's like, actually, we actually need to kill this guy. And double kill comes in for Holy Phoenix. So have bought themselves some time.
A little bit of time, but now 2 inhibitors down. Big minion pressure on that bottom wave, and they're not recalling in immediate time to stop it. Fabulous may commit to this.
Jumps over the wall, hits Samwise in the face with Unstoppable Force, but meanwhile Naru gets completely bursted from Nitrix. War Jump comes in from Riosta and jumps back to him anyway, and Shutdown comes in for Malphite, now follows up onto Yero as well. Seismic Shard comes down, Nitrix still looking to follow up, and he's got all the damage in the world and all of the sustained damage as Riosta comes back in. Cheese Wheel picks up 1 kill, Riosta tries to get out, War Jump over the wall, and the Zyra passive hits him smack in the face. Can Caitlyn come up in time? Do they have the damage before Nitrix just tears him a new one? He is a very scary looking Jax. 2 damage items, boots, and the Hex Drinker. Doesn't look like they want any of that.
Where did that snap trap come from? Nitrix says, and then goes in anyway.
Yeah, he's actually looking to die, actually. Nitrix taking so much damage from Caitlyn. Those 2 kills definitely helped, and just takes the bullet and accepts his fate. So, that was actually really good from Dark Passage. I don't think any of us expected that to happen.
No, that was it was honestly just a bit sloppy by Dignitas. There wasn't he went through that bush before. He saw the snap trap, but he saw there wasn't a snap trap there before, and then he saw it again. Caitlyn, maybe she's in the area. Nah, just didn't put 2 and 2 together on that one. Which was unfortunate, because then he jumped on Sony. He was like, yes, I can kill the support. Oh, I've already used Counter-Strike. So, little bit unfortunate, but I don't really feel like that's going to change all that much overall in this game. Dignitas still very much in control. The inhibs may respawn a little bit sooner, but and it will obviously give a little bit more vision control. I don't know if it's been mentioned, but there have been a lot of wards in this jungle over the course of the game. Still not changing all that much. Dignitas is going to wait, regroup, respawn, go for it, group up. And I think on this push they should be able to win.
Yeah, honestly I'd like a ward buff that you can see on the supports that showed how many wards you've placed and bought in the given game, because that would be very interesting to me. But it definitely would be a number over 100, definitely in this one. But I feel that Dark Passage have a chance to win the next team fight. It's a slim chance, but they definitely have it. Holy Phoenix is a very large damage threat. He's got his Last Whisper, he's essentially a 4-item AD carry for all intents and purposes. So if they can keep him alive, he's got the Guardian Angel, which Corki does not. And also the Guardian Angel is down on Impaler. So Dignitas could wait it out, make sure all their cooldowns are off, so they can go and definitely win. But if they go for the fight too early, Spuddington, we could definitely see Dark Passage outplay them once again.
It's entirely possible. Dignitas need to make something happen on this. If they get both of those inhibitors back up, Dark Passage are firmly back in the game. Throwing out the explosive cask doesn't land. But that does give Dignitas, in turn, now a nice opportunity to force that middle inhib. Surprised Dark Passage didn't actually go to try and catch Samwise out when he rotated up there. But it's actually a lot dicier for Dignitas than you would normally think under the circumstances.
Yeah, it's any point in the game you could have the initiation. Gotta be very fast about it, but it's just very difficult right now because they can't just go for a straight up tower dive. At the same time, they want to try and siege this turret, but Caitlyn having the damage and having the luxury of having a very beefy front line can kind of keep Samwise at arm's length, but minions will eventually mean that they're going to have to commit people elsewhere, and Jax is taking down the middle inhibitor. So over time, they're playing this safe, and that's exactly what Dignitas UK need to do right now.
Yeah, they just, as long as they don't get into a fight, there's not much they can really lose. And even if they get into a fight, they've got decent odds. Like you say, there is a chance for Dark Passage, but it's so hard for them because if they commit very deep, we've seen it before. Yarrow's disengages have been excellent, and the mobility of Dignitas team comp means that if they get disengaged, Dark Passage do not have a hope in winning that fight. If they get the successful disengage, Dignitas essentially wins the team fights because after the big cooldowns are blown, they've got everything. And they've also got this split push pressure, which means they may never need to team fight at all.
Yep, they're starting to go for it. Fabulous on the front lines. Repel comes up. Ultimate comes in from Naru. Knocks back Samwise. Once again, doesn't quite find its mark. But Jax takes a Nexus turret for that chance. So, can they go for a decisive team fight or will they lose their entire base? This is a fight against time as Holy Phoenix takes a cocoon to the face. Flashes come over from Dark Passage. One drops immediately. Alchemist picks up the kill onto Holy Froth. Meanwhile, Jax is trading off against Fabulous, who's trying in desperation to stop him from taking his Nexus turret. Will jump out onto a minion, and Alchemist decimates Lee Sin, picks up another. Holy Phoenix is dominating, picking up the kill onto Alchemist in return. But do they have enough? Now 3 versus 4. Holy Phoenix still with the Guardian Angel. Naru is there, but the front line of Fabulous is coming back in. Now they have super minions to contend with. Nitrix drop low will be picked up. Samwise in turn has been forced to flash out. Another flash from Holy Phoenix. This is a valiant attempt, looking for what auto-attacks to come in from Yarrow. Meanwhile, Impaler's trying his best to whittle away at this turret. Net comes in. Flash from Yarrow will keep himself healthy. Meanwhile, Impaler drops into his Guardian Angel, only just come back up, and Fabulous will eventually grind you down. It will take some time, but he will kill you. That Caitlyn ultimate will.
one to buy Spirit of the Spectral Wraith on Elise right there. Yeah, that was... Dignitas got a little bit over-eager once again to end the game. At this point, though, I don't think it reasonably matters. 3 inhibitors down. This is now... Dark Passage need to make some kind of monster, multiple team fight winning play that they have to become gods of League of Legends to win at this point. Not impossible, not quite, but getting very, very close.
It's going to be difficult. I mean, I think that's a fair statement to make. And yes, the team fight went well, but what did they lose? They lost a middle inhibitor, a Nexus turret, an inhibitor turret, and another inhibitor. And all 3 inhibitors are down. So they either make the god play, because essentially they have to juggle the minions, and they have to juggle Dignitas. Caitlyn still has the Guardian Angel, and she has absolute full build. Got the Zephyr as well in place of the boot. 527 farms should be worth mentioning. So you have that huge damage threat, but Baron is up. I said last time it would be the last nail in the coffin. It wasn't, because they kept on fighting. But I think this one's going to be the last nail in the coffin. They either have to fight over this, which they can't because of inhibitors, or they have a Baroned up Dignitas who are rapidly approaching full item build, who are just going to win regardless. Honestly, Dignitas can take Baron and just throw themselves at the Nexus and probably win.
Yeah, they're tanky enough to do that. I mean, look at Nitrix. He's just not taking any damage from Baron, let alone what a player can do to him. He is not bothered at all. They've got the Baron, they've got the gold advantage, they've got the map pressure advantage, they've got the ward advantage. They have every single thing in their favor at this point. The only possible way they could lose a fight now really is if Samwise gets caught out stupidly and Holy Phoenix is allowed to just damage everyone for free for a long time, because by the lord, he is doing a lot of damage.
Pappas takes some hits, Force Pulse and the classic Null Sphere combination, but meanwhile Nitrous comes in from the back lines. Where did he come from? Alchemist comes in with another Force Pulse, hits free, but he's in the middle of no man's land, he gets taken out. Holy Phoenix is legendary, jump over the wall from Pappas, whiffs onto Alchemist, who will probably pick up the kill in return. He's still looking for it. Holy Frog comes in, there we go. Riftwalk picks one up. Now Soundwire's looking for blood. Big Rocket will take down the for the double kill onto Solar. In fact, that was Caston picking that one up. Naru drops from Stranglefords. Impaler, this looks to be the GG. Riosta drops low. Can Holy Phoenix go huge? The answer is probably a no, but we'll give him a shot. In fact, the Nexus will fall. The GG well played for a 50-minute slugfest.
I have to be honest here. I feel like Dignitas won that at 35 minutes.
Yeah.
But they kind of faffed around quite a bit. They made sloppy mistakes that were based on the fact they kind of knew they'd won. They almost sort of tipped it the other way as a result of that, and they need to be careful about that in the future. But still, very well played by them, playing the map pressure game, and I feel like they got the best out of Champion Select as well. But this is a best of 3 now. We're in the quarterfinals, ladies and gentlemen. So we will be getting the next lobby up as fast as we possibly can, and we should be back in maybe 2-3 minutes time with the next Champion Select. So ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We will have another game between these two teams coming up in just a few minutes.